I was asking our friends for questions because we just have mutual friends. So one of them came from David Lawson, and he wanted me to ask who your pants guy is.
Who my pants guy is? Well, I'd say it's more of a pants lady, I guess. She works at the local laundromat, and she tailors my clothes. So when no matter where I get them, I have a standard pair that I have her match. So whenever I go buy them, I get new pants, and I go to I go over to the laundromat, and I just show up, and she rolls her eyes when I show up because she's like, man, you again. Like, I don't do this for anyone else, but she's cheap. She charges like $12. And so I just go, here's my new pants, match them with these ones, so.
That's great.
That's how that goes. It's been a lot of trial and error because if you don't wash the pants before you take them, then she matches them and then they shrink, and then that's a wasted pair of pants. So, but I've been really liking Fabletics. I've been buying the Fabletics pants for a few years now, only when they're 80% off because I'm not gonna spend that much on pants.
Are you a Kevin Hart fan?
I mean, sure-ish, I guess. He's probably not my favorite comedian, but I'll listen. I think he did I don't know if I've ever watched a full comedy show of his. I think he's funny on certain movies, but not a huge Kevin Hart fan.
Yeah, same.
Nothing against Kevin Hart. I like him all right.
Who is your favorite comedian?
Ooh, gosh. I don't. I liked Bill Burr like 10 years ago. I thought he was really funny.
Yeah, he's kind of retired in my opinion.
Yeah. I think he wanted to do more TV stuff, it seemed. So I just think he's not as funny anymore.
I think it's because he's being a good dad. Sorry to cut you off. I think he's just being a good dad. Like, he has a kid now.
I hope that's it.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to be out as much.
Yeah. Shane Gillis, I think, makes everyone laugh right now. So he makes me laugh. I like the stuff Jerry Seinfeld does, although I'm not a huge fan of maybe his stand-up. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I just love watching him mix it up with guys. I have like 3 favorite episodes, and they're from guys that I probably would not enjoy. But he did an episode with... is his name John Oliver, the guy, the Last Week Tonight guy. And I thought that was really, really funny as they just kind of talk about just comedy. He does another one with Alec Baldwin, the first one he does with him. And I don't think I've ever liked much of what Alec Baldwin has done, but he made me, that one, just watching the two of them together, I thought that was hilarious. And then the best one, I think, is when he's with Norm Macdonald, who I do like. I think Norm is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
The Norm episode. Yeah, that's probably the best one. I think when he says something about Jerry having kids, and he goes, "Well, you don't have any kids," and Jerry goes, "No, I do have kids," and it's just the best line. He goes, "Well, agree to disagree. I didn't think you had any kids." I don't know. It cracked me up. So anyway, yes. All that was who's my pants guy. My pants guy is this sweet Korean lady in my town that fixes all my pants. Anyways, yeah, that's a great question. I guess it's a weird question coming in, but I'll take it.
Yeah, there's a little backstory with David was going to get married, but he was on an 8-month mission trip, and we were visiting your church, and he needed to get fitted for his suit because he was going to Uganda, and then he was coming back, and he still hadn't gotten fitted. So went suit shopping in downtown LA, and you were like taking us all the back ways to all these nothing against the Koreans, but there were definitely some pretty jank shops that we were frequenting that day.
Sure.
Good food though. We started off the day with really good burritos, breakfast burritos. Those were epic.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah. And then he ended up getting it from Instagram or something. So it was all a wash as far as the clothes go. But
it was a waste of my time to go into downtown LA, but okay.
Absolutely. But yeah. So favorite comedians, favorite baseball team. You've got Ohtani. So you're feeling pretty good these days. We were talking about that earlier. I don't really care about baseball, no offense, but
no, that's good.
I do pull for Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's pretty exciting. He played in Buffalo, so that was fun. Like in the minor leagues.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he is exciting to watch. Not quite as exciting as Ohtani for some reason. I can't put my finger on it.
You know, I don't know. I was out on Ohtani for a long time. I don't know if it's just 'cause I'm a Dodger fan and the other team across town is the Angels, and I have so little. It's just hard to enjoy the Angels. They're such a poorly run organization, and it's hard to like get excited about anything that happens over in Anaheim. And then they changed the name to LA Angels so that they could, I think, grab some of the fan base, which I think backfired in multiple ways. But the product on the field there is so bad. And they had like two of the best players in baseball for 6 years. They had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and they never made the playoffs. And the Dodgers have done fine without Ohtani. So when he signed with them, I thought, man, what a waste of money, what a waste of a deal. He's had arm trouble in the past. I'm like just a wet blanket to all other Dodger fans, because I was like, I don't think you guys need him. I think you could use that money and you can get two people instead of just one person. And everyone's like, no, but he is two people because he does both. But he doesn't do both the way, like I'm old school. I'm so old school when it comes to baseball. Like I want a starting pitcher to throw 200 innings a year. I want superstar hitters to slug like really well and get big hits. But anyway, so every time Shohei struck out his first year, I'd look at my son and be like, that's what $700 million gets you, is a bum who strikes out, who's coming back from elbow surgery. Like obviously he's not worth this amount of money. And then the Dodgers won the World Series. And then this year, they kind of stumbled to the finish line, and now it looks like they might never lose a game again. And Shohei's pitching, and so I almost have to eat crow about it, but I won't yet. I'm still. It's a 10-year contract, so
yeah. If he doesn't win 10 championships, then
I will almost guarantee he'll never pitch 150 innings a year. So to me, I'm like, you didn't have to pay him that much as a pitcher. Seems like he wanted to come to LA, but you guys decided to give him a lot of money. I think they bid against themselves. They kind of bid against the Blue Jays, though. So, anyways, You could tell where I get excited and worked up, and it's a little bit about this stuff.
Yes. So, on this podcast, it's called Insight Incorporated, and I think you fit more, no offense, into the incorporated part, and that's a very important part of this podcast. Insight is something that you can find from all types of sources. And typically, for the past like 30 episodes, we've pulled from books. I love to read. James is my co-host. You know him, and he also loves to read. And so there's often like a paragraph of something that we read, or an essay, or a book, or an author that we're picking apart and trying to analyze some of their words. I asked you like a pregame question a couple days ago when I asked you to do this, and it was like, what book would you write if you had to write a book right now? And you were like, no books, not writing a book. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say.
Nobody knows nobody needs my opinion on anything.
Yes. So the incorporated aspect, incorporated means to like embody something. And I think that you do a really, really good job of thinking and talking and pulling insights from life and from people and connecting with people. And the reason that you're able to do that is because you embody a lot of these things that you think about. So I kind of want to go into your backstory growing up and see like, how did we get the man that is Daniel Flores today? Just because I've never heard this story, so I think it'll be interesting for me, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay, like how long do you want me to talk about? Like, do you want like the
Do you remember your
version?
birth? No.
Yeah. So it was a dark and stormy night. No.
Where are you from?
My parents grew up in a little city, kind of in the greater LA area, called Norwalk, and so they met in high school. They got married. My mom got saved before my dad, as far as coming just to faith in Christ, and they were dating at the time, and my mom and dad broke up because my mom's like, well, I can't marry if you're not a Christian. I don't want to sign up for a life of us being in different places. And so, so within a couple years or maybe a year, my dad got saved. They ended up starting dating again, got married. They got very plugged in their local church, which was just down the street from their house, Calvary Chapel of Downey. And then we were born, my older sister first, then me. Obviously, that's how older sisters work, right? Them first, then you. And so, like, growing up, we went to church. Like, all I've known is kind of that life of growing up in the church. And then when I was 4, I think we moved from that area up to the high desert in Southern California. And so we were on the LA side of the San Gabriel Mountains. Now we're on the other side of those mountains. And then I did my growing up in a tiny little town called Phelan, California, Phelan. And it's an ugly place, it's desert, it's dirt roads, but just kind of slower way of life. We got involved in a church here in town, and my parents just always served at church. When I got to, my mom homeschooled me early on, and I think in 3rd grade I went to like public school, and I remember, I was shy, I was scared, and then within 5 weeks I was using the F word with all my buddies. So like it was pretty, and then I'd go home every day and like not cry, but almost cry, and tell God how sorry I was that I couldn't, like, that I wanted to live for him, but I couldn't, because it was just like, it was so uncool. And like when you play football with your buddies at recess, like you have to cuss, you feel like a little bit. And so like I was always like so, I had a difficult time, I think, but then, and maybe I'll get to this part in a bit, but my parents never like forced us to like love Jesus or follow Jesus. They were very much like, hey, just, you have to be respectful in this house. You're gonna behave a certain way. My mom, when we were homeschooled, she would do like, scripture memorization with us, and we'd always go to church. But one thing I started to realize, and it probably wasn't until my junior high years, is that like I felt a distance from God. I wanted to be closer to God, but I also wanted to be cool and fit in with people at school. And so my language was probably not what it should have been. My whole attitude and whatever wasn't good. And then I'm kind of a chatterbox. I talk too much. I think I'm funny sometimes, especially in junior high. I think most boys think they're funny. And so it got to the point that at church I'd always get in trouble in the junior high class. I got so tired of it. My dad was in leadership at the church, not pastoral leadership at that point, but and I remember someone was like, "Don't you know who your father is?" When I was behaving badly, and my dad, I really appreciated. My dad stood up for me, and he it meant a lot to me, because he just said like, "Hey man, like, it has nothing to do with who I am. Like, so don't live under that. But also you should behave yourself. You should be respectful and those kind of things." So I started sitting in the main sanctuary as a little kid. I stopped going to the youth group for my junior high years because I just couldn't, I didn't like it. I didn't, but the agreement was I had to take notes in the main study. So my mom would make sure I'd sit next to my mom. She'd make sure I took a page of notes, like on the back of the bulletin. And I started like going like, man, I like what this guy shares. The Bible just makes sense. No, I don't know if I want to do it like yet. I think most kids that grow up in the church, I can't speak for everybody, but I think a large percentage of them kind of go like, yeah, I want to walk with God, just not yet. I want to just kind of see, like, everyone gets to have a testimony, everyone gets to, do whatever. Like, yeah, I want to do a little bit of that. And then I'll come back, I'll show up where I should. And so those junior high years were rough. I feel like it was the furthest I'd ever been really from God. And I remember there was like some kind of drama thing the church put on, like a skit or something. And it had to do with heaven and hell. And it was 8th grade, and I knew I was not where I should be. And I remember they did an invitation at the end, and I went up, and my pastor's like, hey, what's going on? His name was Larry, and Pastor Larry's like, what's going on? And I go, I need to, like, I'm not right with the Lord, you know, and I just feel terrible. I hate what I'm feeling. And so he prayed with me, and I think that's where like the real fight started happening, where I just like, okay, I don't know how to do two things. I don't know how to walk with God and also try to be like who I want to be. And at the same time, I loved baseball. I grew up playing baseball. I think there was a lot of success in it. And then I got to high school, and I was like, okay, I want to be a Christian. Like, I want to try to be a Christian after I'm a baseball player. So I'll just be like a baseball player first. I'll be relatively, well behaved, because I don't want to cross certain lines. I kind of, I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to drink. I don't want to have sex, because I know, like, if I cross that line, it might be hard to get back, but I'll just get it as close to the line as I can, and then we should be okay. And so it's kind of a battle. And then in that season, my dad went on staff full time as a pastor. He became my youth pastor. And so, I don't think my older sister liked it too much, having our dad as our youth pastor, but I loved it. I thought it was cool. Me and my dad always got along. And so and this is what I was going to try to get to, as if a long story wasn't already long, but my parents were always so gracious. Like, they never made it seem like we were failures to them because we weren't walking with the Lord yet. My dad was my biggest fan in everything. He coached my baseball teams. He was always, if he wasn't coaching, he was there. I remember like a Saturday morning, my sophomore year, I felt like I needed more work on ground balls. And my dad's a youth pastor, and I'm just barely, a Christian, I think. And he goes, well, then let's go work out, And so he brought a bucket of baseballs, and he's just hitting me ground balls on the baseball field. And looking back, he was taking youth groups, to Ecuador every summer on missions trips and stuff. And I remember even one time I was like, Dad, I think I should go to Ecuador. Like, I think I need to. And he goes, really? Like, I don't even think you want to be a Christian. Like, I don't know why you would go to Ecuador. I don't think you're ready for that. And I was like, well, I don't want to embarrass you, And he's like, dude, I'm not embarrassed of you. Like, you're my son. I love you. So, but you going on a missions trip, or you doing any, like, the outward stuff is not what I'm looking for. Like, I love you. And so it's just this real freedom. And then I think there came a point, probably mid high school, that he was like, go find the truth, man. Like me being a Christian doesn't make you a Christian. Your mom being a Christian doesn't make you a Christian. Like, you don't get to heaven on kind of our back. And so, but I will say this, that if you want the truth, go look for it, because you're only going to come back to one place. And then realizing that not every parent is the same at home as they are at church. I didn't know that because my parents were just, they're just solid, man. Like, I really just see in them two people who took Jesus so seriously in their life. They don't do like the big glamorous things, or I really feel like my dad's just that blue collar, like, get your lunchbox and go to work kind of guy. And he does that in his Christian walk, that he just walks with Jesus every day. Just the simple, like, I think we just kind of say, like, the simple things, the practical things, the humble things. He just does those. That's just kind of who he is. So right after, so anyways, my high school years weren't as bad as my junior high years, but I still don't think I had come to that point of, like, surrendering to the Lord. I'd go to high school camp, and I'd go, okay, this is what I want. I really want this. But then it's like, but just like, Lord, it can't get in the way of baseball. Like, that's kind of my main thing. That's all I can think about. And again, I had a mild, a decent amount of success playing baseball. It was going to be a long shot. I don't have the body to play baseball. Like, as much as it's like not football or basketball, like, you still have to be pretty big, and I'm not. So it'd be a long shot anyway. So anyway, I graduated high school.
You could just steal signs for the Astros.
You could still, well, you could, but even then, you still need the right body. Yeah, that's what everyone says. They're always going like, Jose Altuve, I'm like, yeah, he's like 1 in 300 million people. So you can be. You just the math says you're probably not going to be.
Yeah.
So, but I did well. It's like I played, varsity baseball at high school for like 3 years. And what was beginning to happen, though, by the end of my senior year is that trying to straddle the line and balance, it was getting so hard because, like, I wouldn't hang out with anybody on the weekends. My sister, who's a year older than me, had moved away to go to college, and we would talk on the phone a couple times a week. And I was just lonely, man. I was so lonely as a high school senior. And like, I had fun at school. I've always tried to just make people laugh because of how self-conscious I am, I think. And so then, on my way to my high school graduation, it was at a stadium about 20 minutes away. And I remember driving out there and I was just crying. I was like, Lord, I'm so lonely. Like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I can't handle being lonely anymore. I just, like, how embarrassing that my older sister is my best friend in the world. Like, I don't have anyone, because I thought, like, this is going to be sad, but like, I thought like the kids at church were kind of squares, like it was just, they weren't cool enough for me. And as if I was cool. I wasn't cool either, but I wanted to be. But anyways, so on that drive to my high school graduation, it was a Thursday in June. I think the second to last Thursday of June, 2002. I surrendered my life to Jesus. Like, I knew what I was supposed to do all along. And so I did it. And then I was like, okay, like, let's see if it takes almost, and so I just said, like, Lord, no matter what, like, I want you to be the main thing now. And so I made it more of a point to, like, go to church more regularly, to read my Bible. I knew I was saved. I knew that God, like, hadn't left me or anything like that. But it was just time for me to, like, get serious, because I had nothing else. And I really felt a little bit, and I'm not trying to, like, be overly pastoral here, but I mean it. Where Jesus tells Peter, or he tells his disciples after he says some difficult things, and it's like, hey, do you got? And a lot of people leave, and he goes, do you also want to go away? And Peter goes, where else can we go? Like, you have the words of eternal life. And I think I came to that point on that night, and then everything changed. Like, I can't even fully explain how everything changed, but like, I had a new identity. And I went to school one more year, or I went to community college. I played baseball at the local community college for a year, and I came to start realizing, like, I don't know if I need baseball anymore. And I loved it. I mean, I was really enjoying it. Like, even though my body wasn't what it should have been or needed to be, like, I was still having good success, decent success. And then something happened. I served the Lord, like, really, truly for the first time. I helped with the Vacation Bible School. And then here in Southern California, they have something called the Harvest Crusade that Greg Laurie does at Angel Stadium. It's the only good thing that happens at Angel Stadium because the baseball's terrible. But I helped out. I helped out as a follow-up counselor and prayed with people who had just accepted Christ. And then I helped in Vacation Bible School at our church, and I had a little group of second graders that I led around. I think they call them, like, crew leaders. And so I remember I'd go home and pray for those kids every day. And I was like, Lord, I just want them to know you. I want them to understand, like, these lessons. And so I would just, like, hang with these kids. And it was only a group of, like, 12 kids. And I would lead them to each station, and then the teacher would teach them, or the games person would lead the games. And I remember after that summer of serving in those two things, I was like, Lord, this is better than anything baseball's ever been. So I'm serious now that if you don't want me to play baseball anymore, I won't play baseball anymore. And that was a pretty big thing. I ended up not loving the coach where I played. I was young and immature. Anyway, I moved. I decided I was going to move back to where my parents are from, back to Norwalk, where I was born. There's a community college there that has a good baseball program called Cerritos College. I went down there. I went to day one of the tryout. I went to day two of the tryout, and then I called my mom. I go, I'm not going to play baseball anymore. Whether they call back or not, whether I should go back or not, I think I'm done. I really just want to serve God now with my life. And my mom thought I was crazy. My dad called, like, right away telling me I was crazy. And I'm like, dude, you're a pastor. You should understand this more than anyone else. And he's like, no, like, baseball is your love, dude. You should do that. And I go, no, I think I just need to go find a church. I need to get involved in a church. Now that I live down here, And they're like, well, you moved down there to play baseball. Like, are you just going to, I'm like, well, I'm already enrolled in school, so I'll just do another year of school at least. Got a job. My aunt and uncle invited me to a church. I wanted to go to a big church just in case I wanted to backslide, like just in case, because in Southern California, there's a lot of really big churches, especially within the family that we are, the Calvary Chapels. So I was like, I can go to Calvary Downey, there's a few thousand people there. I can go to Costa Mesa, there's like, 10,000 people that go there. And like, no one will ever find me. If I want to do stupid things, I can. And my aunt and uncle invited me to church that was like 200 people, 200, 300 people. And I was like, okay, I'll go with them once. And the pastor introduced himself. And I never left. I ended up being at that church for 12 years. That's where I just sat under the teaching of the Bible for like a pretty regular basis. They had a Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night Bible study. And so I was just there all day. I'd work. My first job down there was I worked at a car dealership, and then I would go in on my day off and help just like clean the church and hang out, and got involved in a young adults Bible study. They invited me to go on a missions trip. I'd never been on a missions trip before. And so we went to Peru, I think like 3 times in 2.5 years or 2 years or whatever. Somewhere in there I started working construction, getting more involved in like learning to teach the Bible. We'd always have like Saturday discipleship classes, so I'd always just go. Like whenever I was free, I'd be there. And ended up meeting, the woman who'd become my wife. And so somewhere, I think I had been at that church for 8 years, and they asked me to leave my job. They're like, we can sense a calling in your life, and we think you're a pastor. So they asked me to come on board, and then I started working there as a pastor. And I ran the youth ministry there for 8 years total. 4 of them, the last 4 of them were on staff. And then, got married in 2008, went on staff with the church in 2011. It was so funny. I warned my wife before we got married. I was like, hey, I think there might be ministry in my future, but that won't be till our 40s, so don't worry about it. We'll have a good life before that. And and then 3 years in, we went on staff. So now it's been 14 years that I've worked at a church. 4 years down there. Now it's been 10 years. We moved back home to this little town, Phelan. And so I was the assistant pastor at the church I grew up in. And then we've been here 10 years now. And this last, when was it? May?
Easter.
I think it was May. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was Easter was the first one I preached, but then we did a transition service, the week after that. So I have now been I still don't know what to call myself. I just keep saying the pastor, but some people like senior pastor or lead pastor.
Are you the oldest pastor at the church now?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not the oldest one.
Okay. Right, because Zeke took your job, right? So your dad's...
Yeah, so my dad now, we switched spots. Yeah, so he's the assistant pastor. I'm the senior head lead pastor, whatever the heck you want to call it, for half a year now. So I don't know if that answered some of the questions.
I have some follow-ups here.
Okay, good, because I'm like, man, I rambled for probably 20 minutes there, and I'm really sorry for that. But,
No, it was good.
You asked how old I am. I'm 40 years old. I turned 40.
Yeah, okay.
In November, I'll be 41 here soon.
It was funny. I guess this means I thought you were older. So that's what's funny to me. I apologize for that. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
You were telling your story.
I've always
you're
wanted
like
to be
in college.
50 years old.
You were in college. I was like, man, I feel like this story's almost over, and you're just in college. Like, but it's not been that long since you were in college. So
no, it has. It's been 20 years. I'm still taking a semester off of junior college right now. Nice, I didn't tell that part because I didn't graduate, but that's all right.
That is what it is. You saw the way the institutions were headed. You were just a prescient individual.
Right. It's the first thing I've been ahead of the curve on.
Yeah. You shorted universities.
Yeah.
Way before it was cool.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to your parents and just kind of trace some of the Calvary Chapel stuff, because you are a Calvary Chapel pastor these days, and like there's kind of an obvious ancestry for you through your parents, but how did they get connected with that? And what was the time frame? Because obviously California is like where that started, and I didn't
Right.
know how close to the
You know, the
origin that
time
was.
frame, I like they're second generation Calvary people. I think my mom's older sister is the one that got saved first. My parents graduated high school in 77. They got married in 1980. So they like, I feel like the Jesus stuff, was that in the 70s? I think it was the
I think
70s.
yeah, yeah,
So they're like maybe first and a half generation. I don't know. They're either really late first generation or early second generation Calvary people. I don't know. I have no idea how they stumbled upon Calvary Chapel, how that's where they landed. I imagine because my aunt and uncle had gotten saved through the Calvary Chapels, and they invited them to Calvary
yeah.
Chapel Downey. So I think that's how
Cool.
that happened.
My wife, her family is also from the Calvary Chapel vein of Christianity, and her mom's dad traveled across the country with some buddies to go do some hippie stuff in California, and then they got
Right.
saved, and so it was like it backfired on them. But they ended up in some Jesus Revolution stuff, and then came back over and. I don't know. I guess like Joe Focht. No, somebody else. I can't remember his name. Gallagher, Bill Gallagher, or something like that. He was like the first guy to come all the way from California over
To the
to
East
the
Coast.
East Coast,
Okay.
and he set up at 15 minutes from where I live, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was like the first one, and then they branched out to everywhere around here too. Anyway, you mentioned that your parents never pressured you into being Christian. Do you think that that was like the way that you responded to it? Because it was definitely something you said, like your mom had scripture verses for homeschooling, and it was a big part of your life, and like I imagine the fabric of your family, like the things that you spent your time on, stuff like that. So like, did you feel like you were maybe receptive to it?
I don't want to be rude when I say anything, but like my parents are just really normal, dude. Like they were super normal people. People sometimes will ask, like, man, like you guys, because I walk with the Lord. Both my siblings. But somewhere in there I had a younger sister.
After you?
Right after me. Very good. I'm glad you're keeping up with the math on that. I go pretty fast. Anyways, David Spade also is one of my favorite comedians. I probably should have said that part. Okay, so the point is, all three of us walk with the Lord, and I think some people have said like, "Man, your parents must have just like really taught you guys the Bible, and they must have really like." I'm like, man, I don't think. Like maybe when we were really little, we did like our parents would read the Bible to us or whatever. But I think
Yeah.
one time my dad did a family Bible study with us, and it was for like a week, and he just said like, let's read the book of Ephesians together. And so we did. I guess we talked about it a little bit, but like that's the only Bible study I remember like at home. I just remember my parents just like they lived as Christians all the time. So, and even I remember one day I could tell you where it was. Like where we were on the freeway when my mom said, "Hey, I just need to share something with you." And I was like, "Oh great, my life's about to be ruined. I don't know what she's going to share." And she just said like, and she wasn't like bragging or showing off or anything, but it was like, I think it was when I was going to start like, hanging out with friends more. She like wanted to warn me like what you'll see when you go to other people's houses and not to be alarmed. She goes, your dad and I, we don't we don't raise our voices at each other. We don't like argue in front of you guys. If we have a problem, we just go into the bedroom and we talk about it or whatever. She goes, 'cause I'm just letting you know because not every family works that way. And I remember going like, well, yeah, some aren't Christians, so they yell at each other, And she's like, oh, yes, but also some Christians do too. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like there's Christian husbands that yell at their wives, and there's Christian wives that like don't submit and respect their husbands. Like that is crazy to me, because I had watched them in every way be Christians. Like I watched my dad always put himself last in our family. Like if someone asked me, what are your dad's hobbies? He doesn't have one. Like making money to provide for his family. Like that's his hobby. He
hitting ground balls to me.
Yeah. On a Saturday morning, he'll hit ground balls to me. Like he doesn't do anything for himself. There's nothing he does for himself. Like the only clothes he has is because my mom makes him buy new clothes, or she'll go get them. But it's always like the kids need shoes, the kids need this, make sure that's taken care of. He did everything. And he really, you can tell he had this admiration for my mom. He really looked up to her, as far as like, he's like, I love how godly she is. And he loved her. And I grew up, my cousins lived down the street, and my aunt and uncle, they weren't believers. And sometimes I'd watch the way they just kind of yell a little bit at each other. And I'm like, my dad doesn't do that. All my uncles, I would say, they all drank a lot. I'd say way too much, and I'd see it. And my dad never drank, and he was just always this guy. He's like, I don't need that. I don't need it. I don't see that it does a ton of good. So I watched that, and then I watched my mom respect my dad. I watched the way, and to this day, I'm 40 years old. I've never seen my mom yell at my dad. I've never seen my dad yell at my mom. I've seen him disagree, but never, like they never did that in front of us. So I just kind of saw this, like, and then my dad always served in the church, but not like at the expense of us. He was always at our ball games. He was always doing everything. But he's just like, I owe my whole life to Christ. I'm just going to serve him with my life. So he just served him. He taught men's ministry. He taught home Bible studies for a certain period. He did prison ministry for a while, started helping with the youth group. It got to a point that, again, he became the youth pastor at one point. And then even as he was the youth pastor, he didn't neglect his family because he was so busy at church. And so I just always saw them work together. And so I remembered part of when I knew baseball was over for me, all I wanted was to have a godly marriage, because I just thought, if my dream was baseball, once that dream was over, my dream was to be like my dad. I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to have the kind of life he had, because I saw the love, the joy, the peace, the contentment that he lived with. I saw the wife he had, and I was like, man, that's all I could want. I think in life, I think I'd be a rich man if that's what I had. And so I think that was kind of it, but it was never this like, I need my son to get saved. He never embarrassed us. I mean, he embarrassed us in other ways, just because he's silly sometimes. But sometimes I've heard parents like embarrass their kids in front of people, like, oh yeah, my kid doesn't walk with the Lord. I need him to get saved. And I'm just like, they heard that. Like, why would you say that? Like, I don't know. He didn't behave rudely, I guess is the best way I could say it.
Yeah, it sounds very authentic. Like,
yes, he's the most authentic person I've ever met, I think. And he's the wisest person. Like, he's not a very learned guy. I think we've all like diagnosed him with dyslexia, but somehow he learned how to read his Bible. He didn't have a godly dad. They grew up in kind of a nominal Catholic family. And I mean, his parents, when he got saved, I mean, they basically, told him he had abandoned the faith, and it was hard, I think, for a good long time for him. And so he didn't have a spiritual father or anything like that. So he read the Proverbs every day. And so he's like, again, he might not be the smartest guy I've ever met, but he's the wisest man I've ever met. And I think he's the most humble man I've ever met. And I don't just say that because he's my dad. I've been around enough other people, I think, to say, again, at least of who I've met. And so, yeah, just authentic, I think, to the core. And so then any times I had struggles or I had hardships, when I sold cars for a year and a half, I'd call him after every single car I sold. Like when I'd go fuel it up as the people were in signing paperwork, I'd call him. And he was just as excited on the last car sale as he was the first car sale. Like he's my biggest fan. And so it's like, how can I not want whatever makes that guy who he is? Like, that's what I want, And so I think that was even a little bit of the, like, what would you say, like the impetus in going like, okay, well, if to get where he gets, he loves God the way he loves God. I guess I got to love God the way he loves God. And because I know that's what makes him him. It wasn't like necessarily like work ethic or reading or whatever. It was that he knew who his God was. So I just wanted to connect with his God, I think is how that started.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That was actually, you just answered one of my guest questions. I asked my brother if he would ask a pastor anything. And he's like, I like to ask pastors why they believe in Jesus. And I think that's a good question. It's a very basic thing to ask somebody who's supposed to be like an expert in the faith or whatever. And
Right.
and obviously, I guess with a pastor, maybe it's there's like at least the appearance of a greater degree of sacrifice to Christ or something like that. Like you could be still selling cars at a dealer in LA, maybe making more money or doing something else like that. Pro baseball scout, I don't know, whatever it is. You just be like, Otani doesn't have it. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I would have lost on that one.
but like,
We don't need to draft this guy.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Too tall, too fast. But the point is like that's such. I felt like it was a perceptive question. I wanted to ask it, but I'm compelled by your answer because I think it's true in my life too. Like I grew up in a Christian home, but it was like fuzzy to me for a long time as far as what that meant for my life. And it wasn't until I was able to recognize the value of relationship with Jesus in the lives of my parents and the shape that it took in my family's relationships, in our home, in our priorities, our freedom, our love. There were lots of things that I just assumed were normal because of the way that my parents
Right.
really lived just a very simple life with Jesus, a normal life, like you said. That's something we've talked about in the past. I think it's so relevant, and I think it's really related to this idea of appearances, like as though Christianity is something that you appear to practice, but it's not necessarily, it doesn't permeate all the aspects of your life, like the way that you speak to one another at home, or even when you move to go play baseball at the college, and your dad's like, "What are you doing? No, play baseball. You love baseball."
Right. Yeah, you love baseball. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, and you had changed, so it was perfectly fine for you to change what you love. But like, he was recognizing like that has nothing to do with your relationship with Jesus. Like you can 100% play baseball and 100% be serving Jesus in that life. And
Right. And I remember he said something. I hate to cut you off here, but it was like, I remember the day I was ordained, they came down. I go, I don't know if you guys want to come down. Like I'm getting ordained today. Or this weekend. And so my mom was like, oh my gosh, of course we'll be there. And my dad was kind of like, let me check the schedule. And he was going to come down. And I remember this lady told him, you must be so proud of your son. Like that he's becoming a pastor. Like you're a pastor. He became a pastor at this different church, And my dad was like, I've been proud of my son forever. Like this doesn't change like any of my thoughts towards my son. Like if anything, I'm kind of bummed that he's not going to make as much money, like he's, you don't exactly get to work overtime.
Plan.
Yeah. Like, well, you don't exactly get to work like overtime as a pastor. Well, you get to work it. You don't get paid overtime hours, But he goes, I was proud of my son when he decided he wanted to walk with Christ. Or he's like, I've been proud of him his whole life, but like he works a good job. He loves his wife and he serves the Lord. Like what else could I want? It doesn't have to be in a professional aspect. And my mom's like, just say yes. Like that's all they need you to say right now. And he it's almost like he goes like, I refuse to let like his worth or value like come from like, or his identity be in what he's going to do for God now. Like his identity is who he is already in the Lord. Like it has nothing to do with him being like better now. It's like, if this is what God told him to do, then he's got to do it. But that's not why I love him. That's not why I'm proud of him. So anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I just felt like I had to share that part.
Yeah, no, definitely. You brought up not in this conversation, but recently, I just wanted to find what you texted me. You said, what am I passionate about? The simplicity of walking with Jesus, not having to do things to earn his love, living a life in response to his goodness. And I just was thinking about that part, not having to do things to earn his love. And your new-ish role at your church, flipping roles with your dad, meaning that you're teaching on Sundays, not doing as much stuff, or I'm sure you do as much stuff or more behind the scenes, but I mean,
No, tell me how little I do now.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
You only work on Sundays, right?
Only work on Sundays, dude, and Thursday nights.
But so I wanted to know how you're being personally affected. Like, what is God doing in your life? But then, how is it flowing through you into the people around you? Because it seems like the more normal Christians are around other Christians, the better. That would be my bet.
Okay, so what's the question? Okay, one more time. The question is, like, am I doing something different, or like what?
No,
or what am I doing?
Yeah, I
What
want
are
to
you
know.
doing with your life?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Still trying to
So
figure that out.
when are you
dude,
going to
at
start
40.
selling cars again?
Basically.
The question is, like, what is the simplicity of having a relationship with Jesus, and what does it look like in your life? Like, what things are you letting go of? Because we're talking about your relationship with your dad, and it's making me think of your heavenly Father. Like, he thinks that way about you. So then, if you're a pastor, like, who are you trying to impress? What are you doing because you are free now? You don't have to earn his love, like, as you're learning to do that.
Yeah. So, as cliche as it sounds, I just tell people all the time, like, I'm not creative. I'm not, there's so many things I'm not. So I can't try to overcomplicate it or overthink it. So as cliche as it sounds, like it's like a relationship, right? It's like a marriage type thing. I didn't like propose to my wife and get to the altar and marry her and then go, how little do I have to do now? Like what's the least I can do? And we still be okay. Also, I can't go to the other side where I'm like, I got to keep making you love me. I'm like, well, you agreed to this. Like I didn't have a gun to your head to make you marry me. So it's just this love relationship. So what do you want to do when you're in love with somebody is you just want to spend time and you want to just enjoy their company. And I think that's kind of the thing. Now, it doesn't mean there's not times I want to do something because of the love I have for my wife that would bless her and would, but I'm not. And then to understand that she's just a human being, what God tells us about himself is that he loves unconditionally. So maybe the illustration breaks down there because I guess with another human, at some point you do kind of got to keep earning the love, I guess. But with God, I just want to spend time with him. So like that hasn't changed. I remember when I became a pastor, I became a youth pastor. My dad had been a youth pastor for, probably like 10, 12, 15 years at that point, whatever. And I remember going like, Dad, what do I do now that I became a pastor? Like I'm a youth pastor, you're a youth pastor, we're a youth pastor, you're an assistant pastor now. Like, what do I do? And he's like, the same thing that got you there. Like, there's that old phrase that I love. I love old phrases, by the way. But there's that old phrase, like, you got to dance with the one who brung you. Like, so I don't have another, like, oh, I got to do something new now. No, like, I just keep being a Christian. So what do I want to do? Like, if I believe that God is who he is, then, and who he's revealed himself to be in his word, then like that Romans 12 is kind of just it. Like he says, I beg you, brothers, by the mercies of God, that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. That's your reasonable service. So I just respond. It's like, okay, God, if you've loved me this much, then I want to love you back. So loving you back looks like talking to you, spending time with you, reading the Bible. Like, I don't read the Bible because I'm so spiritual and it's like, oh, it's got to be 90 minutes a day, and I set the clock and I start reading. That's not how I am with my wife. I'm not like, how we got to sit down for how long and talk to each other. Like, if the conversation's there, let's have the conversation. Obviously, there's stuff we have to do. We got to take kids to school. You know, I got 3 kids. We're juggling, you know, schedules and all that stuff. But when I have a chance to connect with my wife, I'm not going like, how little do I have to do this? I think there's some people that are married that way, and I can't imagine that's a very enjoyable marriage. So it's that way with the Lord, that it's like, Lord, I just want to talk to you. Like, I wake up, like my alarm starts going off, and I just like, I thank Jesus for letting me wake up that day. I just talk to him. I talk to him about what's going on. I ask him to fill me with his Holy Spirit and just help me to live for him today. When I pray with my kids on the way to school, when I drop them off, we just pray that they'd have a good day. We pray that God would bless them and that they would just recognize that he's with them. And so it's just kind of that thing. It's pretty simple. Like I don't mean to just give the Sunday school answer, but I mean, it got me this far, I guess. It's like I'm still walking with Jesus on the Sunday school answer, you know, like, and again, I don't even say like, look where it got me. I'm a pastor. That's not even what I mean. Like, I think of John chapter 15, is it right? Where it's like, abide in me and I in you, and then you'll bear fruit. A branch can't do anything of itself. And so even just like, if I want to live a life that's a blessing back to God, I have to stay connected to him. And so that connection to me is just, again, it's just like the regular spiritual disciplines in an individual life. So, you know, I spend time just with him. And that's what it looks like for me. So for me, it looks like reading my Bible. It looks like praying. Not in a legalistic way, not in a way to earn God's love. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't read yet today. God hates me. Like, no, like it's almost like we never go there. Now, again, it's probably easy for me to believe that because I had a dad who loved me unconditionally. So it's easy for me to see that. I understand there's some people that come from a way different background. They can never earn their dad's love. They can never please their dad. They can never whatever. And so when they're told that God is a certain way, they have to go earn that. They don't, but I can understand why someone might, you know, kind of think that. But it's not. So I think that's what it looks like. So becoming a pastor, or becoming like the main pastor now, I've been a youth pastor. I was a youth pastor for 4 years. I was an assistant pastor for just under 10 years. And now I've been a senior pastor for 6 months. Like, it's the same play, man. Like, I always joke around. I have a buddy that I love just dearly, that I just said, like, dude, I run the same play every day. Like, I know how to run a play that gains 3 yards every time. Like, I'm not flash. As much as I love watching SEC football, I love when guys are like spread out, running fast, throwing the ball deep, all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't do that. Like, in my own life, I'm a Big Ten guy. Like, I just run the ball up the middle. You don't have the body for that. Yeah, it's just, dude, it's power eye, man. Like just run the ball up the middle every play, gain 3 yards every play. You know, 2nd and 7 isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But you gain 3 yards, then you get to what, 3rd and 4, and 3rd and 4 is fine. And then you have 4th and 1. 4th and 1's not scary if you know you're going to gain 3 yards. So I just feel like my life walking with the Lord is, and I just like, there's like these like things in my life that I ask myself, maybe not every day, but maybe not, yeah. But it's like, am I reading the Bible? Am I praying? Do I have any unconfessed like sin in my life? Do I have like besetting sins? Like, again, sin is always going to be a part of my life. But it used to be my destination. Now it's my distraction, I say. And so like but like, Lord, is there things in my life that are sinful, that I'm walking in, that I shouldn't be? And so I confess those to the Lord. So it's like, am I reading? Am I praying? Am I confessing my sin before the Lord? Am I asking to be filled with the Holy Spirit on a regular basis? And if that's all happening, then it's just like a normal walk with God. Like, I just walk with him. Every day, I just walk with Jesus, you know? And that's where I just kind of just tell people, like, I don't know, just be a Christian. Like, just walk with him. And it's not what I do for him. Now, and that doesn't mean I don't love, just like I love with my wife when I serve her and she's happy with it, you know? Like when I have sacrificed something to give her something, I love it. It's my way of showing love to her, And so, I know an old pastor one time had told me how he was telling a group of people, but it was like, he was telling his wife, man, I just love you so much. I just want to wash your feet. Like, I just want to, Jesus washed the disciples' feet. I just want to wash your feet. And she's like, it'd mean a lot more if you wash the dishes. And so with my wife, there's times I'm like, I hate doing dishes. I'm so bad at domestic stuff. But there's times where I'm like, this would bless her, and I'm just going to wash the dishes, because I want to show her love, like not just in my words, but in my actions. Our garage is always a mess, but it's like, I'm going to clean the garage because I know she's blessed when the garage is clean, or I'm going to go pick this up because I know it's a blessing to her to not have to go do this part. Like, I want to serve her. I want to find ways to serve her. In the same way, it's like that with Jesus, that I'm like, God, you've done so much for me that I don't want to just sit and read my Bible all day. I want to connect with you that day, but then I want something coming from my life. I want to be that living sacrifice that the Bible talks about that responds to him. And so then it's like, okay, Lord, you have my life, use it however you want. Like, whatever you ask me to go do, I want to be able to just say yes and go do. And so if that's an open door to, again, way early on, I didn't know how to serve the Lord. I didn't know how to do anything. And I knew that I knew how to straighten chairs. And so I would straighten chairs and take out trash cans, and then they asked, would you learn how to, do the soundboard? It's like, yeah, sure. If that's what serving God is, if that's what would be a blessing to the church and a blessing to the Lord, ultimately I'm serving the Lord. And so I guess that shows up in serving his people. And so, and I know it can be a lot more than that, obviously, but so I learned how to use a soundboard, and then they go, hey, can you teach children's ministry? Okay, I'll teach children's ministry. Like, what do I do? Oh, well, you take the Bible, you explain it to the kids. Okay, so I took the Bible, explained it to the kids, and then, just kind of, in everything I do, I just want to serve God, and I just want to serve people, and I take that same approach into serving the Lord even still, even though it's not as practical, I guess. Like, it doesn't look like serving sometimes when you teach the Bible to people. And it could even be I think dangerous. I think there's really good reasons that the Bible's really clear about being careful about putting people in front of other people, especially in a teaching capacity, because of the pride that could set in because of it. Because it's even that could be almost like a drug, right? Addictive to have people looked at you that way. But I had a buddy tell me one time, just gird yourself with a towel and wash people's feet every time you teach. Serve them a good meal, serve them in the way you teach them. You're not going to promote yourself when you teach. You're not going to elevate yourself when you teach. If anything, you need to decrease so that God can increase. So anyways, what does it look like then? I guess today, for me, it's a simple walk with Jesus. I wish I had something better or a better way to explain it, but I don't.
No, I think the simplicity is something that people need to know. They need to know that. I was going to ask you about how do you balance all these things? You described trying to balance or just work out schedules with 3 kids, and which kid is going to what school, and what practice and what friend party event, whatever it is. It's that's 3 different things that you got to figure out with your wife. And then what are you doing? What day are you getting your pants tailored?
Right.
And
Wednesdays,
whatever your wife's
she
doing,
works on Wednesdays.
Yeah, your poor wife. I never hear about anything that she's doing. It's always something that you or the kids are up to. So it's
right.
Well, what does she do? She's got to get out of the house at some point. So there's these conflicts that people have on a daily basis. You're not the only one with kids at your church, I'm sure. And so this idea that I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to read my Bible. It's okay, well, there's a lot of people that will say you can make time, or maybe if you didn't stay up watching Netflix or whatever, and that's probably true for a lot of people. But I think the idea that it's what you said about, I'm not trying to give the bare minimum here. I'm not trying to check this off my list. I'm trying to remain in this. That's that word, abide. Remain here. Yeah. I'm trying to stay here throughout the day. And I think that you know, for people to have a example, I think that's really the job of a pastor in many ways, is to like, because you're exemplifying not yourself, like you're saying, but you're exemplifying Jesus and the way that he does things. And that's why it's like, it's a heavy, responsibility. But it's a light load, like to do a little Christianese there.
Right.
Because it's him, and it's just him through you. So anyway, that one of my questions was, how do you balance all this stuff? Because I know about you that you maybe have a propensity towards busyness.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a workaholic. I love being busy.
What does that look like when you're talking to somebody that you know that comes to your church, whatever it is, that like, man, I'm just so busy. Like, I wish I could serve the Lord more. I wish I could straighten more chairs at church. It's like, well, you got kids. Are you at their games? You got a wife. Are you speaking respectfully to her?
Yeah. So I think one of the main things, what I've seen, again, I've been around church now for 40 years, like really paid attention for at least 25. Churches are kind of bad sometimes at balance. I remember a buddy of mine said, I'm so busy serving the Lord that I don't have time to love my neighbor. He goes, and actually, I don't even know my neighbor. Like, I couldn't even tell you the name of the person that lives right next door to me. And I was like, why do we disobey certain parts of Scripture to obey other parts of Scripture? Like, that's, and I can't speak to if that's a problem all around the world, but I would say definitely, like, in the United States, like, we're busy people. Like, that's part of who we are. It's part of, like, our DNA as Americans is, like, go harder, push harder, get bigger, get stronger, get faster, make more money. Like, it's just like, just max out in everyone. And I don't like that. Because, and I think we came to this point that, especially our youth pastor and I, we're so close, and we spend a lot of time talking to each other in either his office or mine. And it's just like, I have no desire to disobey parts of Scripture to obey other parts of Scripture, right? And even that, like, because we think the church has to be all these things, and the church has to, it has to have something every night of the week. It has to have something for every person who comes, and it has to have this, and it has to have that. And there's times I'm like, why? Why do we have to do so many things? That's a lot. I remember somebody even said, like, we should have more worship nights at our church. And I was like, who says no to that? Like, what's the, like, it's worshiping God. We should sing. We should lift our hands and, whatever. And I'm not trying to be rude to that, but I go, no, you know who that costs our worship leader, like, time away from his family. He's already here Sunday morning. He's already here, Thursday night. He works a full-time job, not at the church. And so, like, and he just had a baby. And so he's only been married for less than 5 years. I think it's less than 5 years. Well, gosh, the years, I don't know.
Yeah.
He got married, I think he got married like near COVID time. So who knows? Because it was shut down. Maybe he's been married 5 years. Maybe. But at that point he hadn't been. Okay. So I'm going, like, so he has to prepare more songs, rehearse those songs, do all these things. Are we going to do childcare, not childcare? Like, all of a sudden I just went, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do more worship nights. I think we just learned to say no to a lot of things. And we're not a cool church. We're not a hip church. We don't have something every night of the week. We don't have all these things going. I believe that if you read 1 Timothy, that was actually part of, our getting to know each other, was at the 10th Hour Project. I came and just shared on church governance and how churches run a little bit. And so we studied 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy is a book on church order. And he talks about doctrine. He talks about teaching. Like that's the main job of the church, is to do the teaching. Like so people should read their Bibles on a regular basis. They come to church. They're taught in the Word of God. Obviously, if you're just reading the Bible, some people don't get what the pastor spends all these hours a week studying and finding out background and this and that, and to be able to dissect a text and then give it to the people so they can understand it. I think that's the main job of the church, is to do that part. And so my job is to teach people doctrine, and then they go be Christians wherever they go. And so I think sometimes we could get kind of ineffective because we're just doing too much. There's no way you can do 100 things well. Like there's just, I don't know that you could do 10 things really well. And so if I'm going to boil things down, like I need to be a Christian first. Like that's just like my relationship with Jesus has to be the most important thing in my life. Not my church. My church is not the most important thing in my life. And so I usually tell young men this, like your relationship with God comes first. Your family comes next. Your job like goes right alongside that because you have to provide for them. And then you could do ministry after that. Like formal like stuff. Because I see this desire with so many to like, I just want to serve the Lord. I want to do everything for the Lord. I'm going to do everything for the Lord. And there comes a point I'm like, you're not loving the people that God gave you. Like you have a family. Like you should probably love those guys. I've seen guys that have turned down like really good work opportunity stuff because they're like, oh man, I wouldn't be able to be at the church as much. I'm like, that's okay. Like if that's what you need for this season, then like you need to take care of your family. Like and then I get frustrated with all these like, we go to conferences. It's like, hey, your family's your first ministry. I'm like, you don't believe that.
Right.
You don't
tell
even
people
believe that. Like, you don't even have time. Like again, your marriage is the exact opposite. Like your marriage is the furthest thing. If marriage is a picture, the Bible tells us that marriage is a picture of Christ and the church. Like that's a really bad example you're setting, that you're going, how little time do we have to spend together and still stay married? You would never want the church to behave towards Jesus that way or Jesus towards church that way. That Jesus didn't go like, how long do I have to be on that cross? Like, how long do I have to be on it? Like, is it just like, can we tie me up there? Like, do I have to, is it?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that much. It's like all in on both sides. But then we neglect our families, I think, in ministry sometimes because other things are more important. I have my own opinions about a lot of that too.
Speaking of importance, the priorities you just gave were really interesting to me. Your relationship with God first, and then with your family, and then job closely associated with family, and then ministry after that. Because I think like when you have those four, it's very easy to like even just what you just said about conferences, your family is your first ministry. It's very easy to like try to bundle everything. And like, I'm talking to a pastor, I've worked in pastoral ministry in the past, and it's like, you think you figured it out because you're like, well, I solved my money problem and I lumped it in with ministry. So that's
right.
Solving that problem. And then all of a sudden what happens is like everything slides up. And a lot of people, like, just to give this example, a lot of people slide the family down to slot 4. It's like,
sure.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
well, the church has something going on, like not every night, but 4 nights of the week. And, on the other 3 nights, there's usually somebody that needs my help or somebody that wants this for me. Or, I said I would go do this for them.
Somebody asked me to be on a podcast.
yes, which somebody is very appreciative of. The idea there, I think, is like that we just get our priorities misaligned, but it's like ministry is for God, and you start associating your relationship with God with the things that you're doing, which is something we were just talking about. And so, yeah, it's really interesting how personal and like, I mean, in the sense of like other people, it's relational. The life, the priorities that you're sort of prescribing to other people. I think that's just how it is.
Yeah. Like, and I was sharing with a group of men the other day. I was like, I don't know who, I would say our ancestors, right? But even our close ancestors, like my grandfather, even our grandfathers, I think, would laugh or be ashamed of like how weak we are. Like they dealt with a lot of struggle, a lot of hardship, a lot of like our generation. Again, you're like, dude, I'm not that old.
Yeah. Yeah.
My generation, the one younger than me. How about that? There's times I just look at guys and I just go like, who lied to you and said life was supposed to be easy? Like life's not easy. It's not easy. It is not easy. I'll tell you that right now. Like, it's simple. Like I think everything's pretty simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy to provide for a family. It's not easy to find a job that you could work enough and still have all the time for your leisure. And so, leisure, we just don't have a ton of time for leisure, I think, sometimes. And I think we're a generation that wants to have a lot of leisure. Rest is necessary. The Bible prescribes rest. It definitely prescribes rest. An abundance of leisure, I don't know. So I think that's also part of the understanding of like, it's just not going to be easy. Like, I think it'll get easy when I die. Like, I think that's when it gets the easiest. And then I could just be worshiping in heaven for a long time and forever. And then it's easy. But on this side of eternity, I don't think it is. Even before the fall, Adam worked and, had a job. So anyways, all that to say, I hope I'm not saying in what I've said about like just being with the Lord is the most important thing. It's the first thing. And and then ministry. I still believe like I still need to live as a living sacrifice before him. It shouldn't just be, oh, I do what's the most convenient thing to do. It's only easy things that I do. I don't do anything that's going to push me to grow or things be harder. Like as a church, we don't do a lot of things. That's not so that we could just sit and recline and do nothing. It is so that we could have enough rest. So I still work really hard. I think newer, younger pastors, my age and younger, have kind of swung the pendulum too far the other way of being like, we don't want to be workaholics. And so we actually don't do anything anymore. And it's just really easy. Then all of a sudden I go, well, how do you even minister to guys in your church who are working 60 hours a week to pay the bills and you don't work but 20, so I still put in a full week of work. There's you've been around a church. There's a million things to do if you're not a giant church, I think. And I think even if you're a giant church, there's a lot of things to do. But like just the time I spend studying, the time I'm there, like available, running staff meetings, trying to talk to each member of my staff to be able to make sure they're doing okay, make sure the things that I have on my list for them to do are getting done, the things that they need from me, I'm there to answer. Being around and available for counseling, patching a leak on the roof, being able to get on the ladder and jump up on the roof and put some stuff down to patch a leak, fix ceiling tiles, fix this. Oh my gosh, we didn't realize this was coming. Oh, we have these events coming down the pipe. We need to have a kind of a calendar meeting and how are we going to do those things and who's doing those things? Okay, like if people don't sign up, do we do them or do we not do them? What should we do? Not that there's strategy meetings. I don't like having strategy meetings, but I do like having planning meetings. Like we have a, oh wait, shoot, did it pause? Am I okay? Is my internet still okay? Okay. I don't know where I left off. But there's still busyness in life. Like it doesn't mean there's not,
Yeah.
and I think, one of the things in the Bible is like what you do heartily as to the Lord, not unto men. In Ecclesiastes, it says, whatever you put your hand to do it with your might. So I don't want to go like, I hope I'm not saying like, just do nothing with your life. Don't do anything. Nothing has to be hard. Like it is hard. Keep working hard. And especially like as you serve, whatever you decide to serve. So what I do say though is like, so that you can serve hard and do the thing, like do then what God has asked you to do. Like, and that comes to the first thing of knowing God and spending time with him and knowing him well. Because there's a lot of good ministry I have to say no to. I can't do like every door that's open, I can't go through. I can only do so much. If I want to still have a good marriage, if I still want to be a good father and be able to go to my kids' ball games and be around for that. So there's a lot of stuff, right? There's still a lot of stuff. So I'm not saying don't do nothing, but I'm also, you obviously can't do everything. So I don't know if any of that made sense, and I'm sorry if it didn't.
what we were talking about earlier with a normal life. It's just a normal life. Like a simple walk with Jesus is something you said. And what I don't want people to hear, because I don't think this is what you mean, is it's a simple set of things that I do with Jesus and I have my life. And so this just fits right into my life. It's not separate. It's not different. And so that's one of the things that I appreciate about you. And I said in the beginning, it's incorporated into your life. Like every aspect of it, everything is just a walk with Jesus. He's there with you in all of these things. And so that list that you gave, some people might hear that and be like, oh yeah, those are all church things, but that's just your job. Like that's what you've been called to do. It's not that, they're working on power lines or whatever they do for 60 hours a week and they've got to travel away from their family. It's like that's not a part of what God's doing in your life. I've been trying to grasp this a little bit more in my own life. Like, I was working at a church and then I just felt like God was calling me to a different thing, not specifically. And so the specifics are still sorting out. And this podcast is something that I've been able to do in the absence of that job. And but then there's also like financial struggles, like what do I want to do? Do I want to get education so that I could do this specific job for the next 30 years? Or do I want to start a business, or do I want to just kind of hustle around and do a bunch of different things? Like I've got to do something. But the reality is like, I truly believe that this is something God called me to do, and move into this uncertainty. And it's causing me to question and doubt and be a little bit more insecure. But that's just because if I'm resting on things like a stable job, if I'm resting my security on those things, I think I'm putting it in the wrong place. And so I'm starting to learn like, okay, this job that I've had recently is lawn mowing, and that's not my favorite job. But I got to work with my buddy. He's got the company and he needs some help. And so I've been doing that, and we've been hanging out a lot more, reconnecting. And that's been really good and really fun. And this uncertainty now that it's like wintertime, so I got to get a different job. Do I want to get something long-term? Do I want to get something short-term? And it's uncertain, but that's something that God, I think, is calling me to, is the uncertainty. And so it's like, what I'm saying is, there's a part of me that just wants to solve that so it goes away. Like, okay, just no more uncertainty. And then I'll be able to do all these things that I know I want to do. But the reality is everything that I do today and yesterday and tomorrow, those are always something that God is a part of, and
Right. As long as your identity doesn't become, I'm just an uncertain person and I can't be tied down. Like as long as that's not your identity.
Yeah. Right. Because again, it's the tendency to put weight on something that can't bear it. And so, I think that my confidence can't come from like, oh, my ability to just navigate these uncertain waters. It's like, it's actually that wherever I go, I'm going, I want to say this right, because I was watching a heretical pastor say something similar.
Okay, great. This is always great. This is always good.
Yeah.
This should be good right now.
It's not that everywhere I go is where God is leading me. I could go the wrong way. That's entirely possible. But I would say that where I go, He's with me, and it doesn't mean I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, but it does mean He's there. And so to just sort of recognize that and rely on that, and even on a daily basis, like I go to get groceries. I didn't want to do that, but it's something that we have to do. That's a part of my life, like to disregard that is to like disregard my life in some ways. And so I just think it's super important to recognize that, because as a pastor, I think like you're not out of touch. You were saying like you put in the hours and you do the work, and that's really good because it helps you connect with the people that are living similar schedules to you. Right. But people, I think, look at you and say, oh, you work at a church, so it's sort of your job to read the Bible, and it's sort of your job.
Right.
To pray.
No,
it's
actually, if you've ever worked at a church, there's like very little time to read your Bible when you're at church. There's so much work to do. Like I have to have my devotional time before I go to the office, because I have a hard time studying for my sermons at the office. I've gone to the local library to start doing that.
Yeah, because there's so many other things in your life, and so because it's your job to present something on Sunday and hopefully help the people that are coming to listen to you, that's like a responsibility that you've taken and even moved it out of the office. That's good. But then people don't see, like, when you're going through the drive-through at Jack in the Box, you're with Jesus there. You're with
Right.
Jesus, with that person that's taking your order. He is affecting you. He's teaching you in all of these different areas. Because I just think, like, I think that's a much more full picture of what it means to have a relationship with Jesus. It's you always get to be with him. It's like you and your wife, you split up, you divide and conquer. You take 2 kids over here, 1 kid over there, and you don't get to see each other as much as, well, I don't know, as much as you'd like. Let's just assume that for now. But
That
like,
is the correct assumption. That is the correct assumption.
so it's like you get to be with him always, and so I think to learn to rely on that and recognize that is it's an unlock, I think, for this normalcy that we're talking. Even, like, I was thinking of the word natural. You are living a life. You are a person with things to do, and so it's just important that you recognize the naturalness of a life with God.
Right. I remember somebody telling me, like, walking with the Lord is like carrying a 90-pound bag of concrete. Like, it's a simple task. The task is really simple. Like, you pick it up, you put it over your shoulder, and you walk. But it's hard. Like, it's hard to do that. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy to take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow him. But, like, that's just part of it. Like, you just walk with him. It's not easy to balance family and ministry and your own relationship with the Lord. Like, it's not easy to do those things. Like I've noticed, I used to like to read books a little bit more. I don't have as much time right now, so right now I'm not reading books as much. I used to like to golf. I golfed a lot more, but now that we have 3 kids going in like, my son is now at a different school than my daughter. So he starts school at 7 in the morning. He gets out at 1:51. Elena goes to school at 8 o'clock, and she gets out at I think 2:45. And the other one's homeschooled. Our youngest is homeschooled, and then Zeke has baseball right now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Elena has volleyball Monday through Thursday, and so it's just like, so I don't have as much time to read right now. That's okay. Like, I won't read as much right now because I still have to do the main things that I have to do, right? But we can't do everything, And I think once I've just kind of understood that it's okay to say no to a lot of other things, even good things. That's even one of the things, and I don't know that you're asking this, but I mean, I'm already talking, so I'll just say it. Sometimes one of the barometers for me of knowing that I'm doing okay in my walk with the Lord is that I'm okay saying no to good ministry. Like, good ministry opportunities, I go, yeah, I just can't right now. Sorry, just doesn't fit. When I go to guest speak places, like again, where I met you at the 10th hour. I taught Monday through Thursday is how that works, right? So I flew out on a Sunday, and then I flew home Thursday afternoon, evening. Before I ever say yes, I talk to my wife. I'm like, hey, where are we at right now? Like, are we cool with me being gone for 4 days right now, or 5 days? It's really 5 days, But also, we kind of made an understanding with us that she goes, can you try to get home though as soon as possible? It's like, yeah, I'll make every effort to get home as soon as possible. I think I told you guys, even like I taught, it's like those block morning classes or whatever that it's like, hey, I'm not trying to be rude. I hope you guys will excuse me, but like, as soon as I'm done teaching, like, I'm leaving for the airport. I got to hang out with you guys Monday into Monday evening, Tuesday into Tuesday evening, Wednesday into Wednesday evening. I want to go home. Like, I want to be with my wife. I want to go see her. I want to be with my kids. Poor thing. She has to run the schedule when I'm not here. And so I can't just be selfish. It's like doing ministry. I think that's the other thing I think that's why people spend so much time in ministry or doing stuff. Like, there's times that it's hard, but it's fulfilling, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's good to be around people who are like, pulling in the same direction, putting on an event together, or whatever. We have a harvest festival thing coming up where, where we'll have like, carnival games and booths and prizes and lots of candy, and kids are going to dress up, and it's like, it's the Halloween substitute type thing. And it's going to be a big event. It's going to be an all day event. And when you're done and you're cleaning up, you're like, man, this was so cool that we got to share Jesus with people, and we got to host people, and we got to love them in Jesus' name, and we got to do all these things. Like, it's super cool. And it's fun to do, but then I just have to tell myself, like, great, that was today. I can't do that every day, And I think that's the thing with Christians sometimes, or churches sometimes, where it's just like, okay, now we got to do it again, and we got to do it better this time, and like, what can we improve, and what can we do? And it's this American mentality of like, okay, bigger, okay, better, okay, more, and let's do it more often, and then before you know it, your wife's like, hey, can I get an appointment like sometime to try to like talk to you? And that's just to like communicate. Like, what about just spending time for the sake of spending time? My wife and I watched a movie last night together, and it was just really fun to just sit and watch a movie. And, maybe some people would think like, man, you're wasting time, man. God put you on this earth for a short period of time, and like, you're watching a movie together. Like, come on. And I'm like, well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Like, we served the Lord all morning. Like, I taught 2 services. My wife, helps with the children's ministry at church. Like, we're I think it's fine. We're doing good. And but I know that because the very first thing is like, we just love God. And so there have been seasons that we do a lot less ministry. There's been seasons we do a little more ministry. And then we're just a family, dude. I love being with my family,
I think that's natural too.
Anyways, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I've taken that too far.
I think it's natural to have rhythms, like where you have something to offer someone else. That's what ministry means, like to take care of somebody, to help somebody. And then you have times where you need help, And so it's like, I think that's something that maybe we know Christianity through the American culture. So it's like, in America, you are pretty well able to figure out your life and be independent of other people. And I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but like self-reliant. That's the key to being the American ideal is self-reliance. And I think what you're describing is a little bit of like, some days I just don't have anything for somebody. Maybe what I have doesn't line up with what they need. It's like, that's not my thing. That's a great thing, but it's not my thing. And just having the ability, the freedom to say, hey, that's not for me, and that's good because somebody else is taking care of it, and somebody else is going to be looking out for you. And like, I don't have to always be at 110% production, to be a good Christian. I kind of wanted to shift gears. I've been thinking a lot about division, and not necessarily in the sense of like church splits or whatever, but just like political division, I guess. And then the way that affects Christians, because Christians will come together and meet at church and do Jesus stuff. And then sometimes that gets political, and some people don't like that, or some people really like that. But like, if we're talking about a life, the life of a believer, you even brought up sort of like disagreements and how to have them, and yelling at each other, and how your parents never did that, so you had a good example. It's like, I just want to know your thoughts on what does it look like to be a person who follows Jesus in a world that really can't disagree, and yet we do disagree on so many fundamental levels.
Yeah, I don't know if I know how to answer that. I think there's a Bible verse that comes to mind right now that's like, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all men. So my goal is to live peaceably with everyone around me. I don't know that I'm called to be like live an argumentative life, I guess. And I think part of that is I don't like confrontation. But then there comes points where you kind of realize what you believe, and you go, well, yeah, I disagree. So you have to be able to disagree. I guess I like when Jordan Peterson kind of talks about like don't go save the world until like you've cleaned your room. It's like along those lines, right? Is what he says. Like everyone wants to go change the world, but they won't even just do what's right in front of them. So I think like the peacemaking starts with just like in the smallest setting. So like some of the things I see on Twitter, like I don't deal with those. I'm not in those arenas. I'm not in those places. People aren't asking me to come speak on their podcasts generally. But I'm not in places where I'm like, hey, let's argue and let's solve this world problem right now. I'm also, I have my own politics, and I vote the way I vote, and I got involved even for a short amount of time in like local politics. I was on the school board for 4 years. That's how long the term was, and even there, like there was people that we didn't see eye to eye. But I don't think we ever yelled and screamed at each other. I don't think we ever belittled each other. We're just like, okay, what are we here to do? What's the common good? Where can we agree? What should we do? Now again, that's school. I know some churches want to really speak to the issues that happen in the world, and some would say like it's political stuff, and what is it, like the Johnson Amendment and all that stuff, and you got to churches aren't supposed to support a political candidate, and they're not supposed to say things and that relate to that. And then I guess what is it, repealed or something like that, and now they're allowed to, I guess. I always just want to find common ground with people and to find out how I can start sharing Jesus with them. That's the real answer. The Bible, now that, and it doesn't make me a total pacifist either. And people are like, oh, this guy's weak, he won't take a stand. It's not that. I really believe that when the Bible says our citizenship is in heaven, then I believe our citizenship is in heaven. That's where I'm headed. That's where I'm going. Now, I believe there's certain things that happen in our world, especially in our country, that are what would you say, like incongruous with biblical belief. Like I can't stand with certain things. I can't vote for certain things. But I remember hearing a guy, and so this is like a non-answer to your question, I guess, because I remember a guy was doing like a math problem on children's ministry. He says if your church has a Sunday service and a midweek service, and a parent brings their child every week of the year, twice a week, you have about 600 hours of Bible instruction time with that child. Because, we'll just say 50 weeks a year. They come twice a week. So that's 100 hours that you would be able to teach that kid the Bible. And if you get 6 years of that, they come every Sunday, every midweek. You have 600 hours, kindergarten through 5th grade, to teach them. Now, the reality, though, is that most families don't come 50 weeks out of the year, or they only come to Sundays, they don't come to the midweek. So the average kid that comes to church 3 times a month, you've taken that 600 hours, and if they don't come to the midweek service, then it's 300 hours. But if they only come kind of half that time, you have about 150 hours. And I remember this guy saying, don't teach anything that they can learn somewhere else. Teach them the Bible. Teach them who God is. They need to learn who God is. If you only have 150 hours with these kids, like I think 600 hours of instruction is what they get in a school for 12 weeks. And that's what you get for 6 years at best with these kids. Now, obviously, like we're teaching the Bible doesn't return void. The Bible tells us that God tells us that about the Bible, is that his word does not return void. We believe that there's a supernatural element to what we're doing. If we didn't believe that, we shouldn't do what we do. But so God can multiply all that stuff. We understand that. But I don't want to waste my time, especially from the pulpit. And again, just a regular person, if they come twice, I have 100, if they come on Sundays, we do our midweek on Thursday. If they come Thursday and they come Sunday and then Thursday and Sunday and Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, if they keep coming, I have about 100 hours to instruct in the year. And the reality is nobody's there every single week. And so I don't, there's enough places to find politics. There's enough places to find your view of politics, right? What is it? My favorite bias is confirmation bias. Like it's not hard to find that. Like just the algorithm's going to help you do that. I think the best thing I can do is teach people how to walk with God. And when one life at a time is changed and people surrender themselves to who God is and to a life lived with him and just live a normal Christian life, they'll behave a certain way. But like, I don't mean to like just for this to be such a like a cop out or me being like weak and I won't take a stand. The biggest problems I see, it's because people don't walk with God. Like, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy on that, but I think if husbands would love their wives, if they would obey what the Bible says about loving their wives, we'd have different families. If wives did a better job of doing what the Bible tells them to do and respect and submit to their husbands as they would to the Lord, like we would live in a different world. Or if children obeyed their parents in the Lord for this is right, like we would live in a different world. Like that's more of what I'm trying to teach. And then like I think the world starts changing that way. But also I think this is kind of what I think, that so many people are trying to change the whole entire world. When I'm like, just change what's right here in front of you. Like fix that part and then go do the next part and then go do the next part. And when we do this well, then we can do the next part. But we're always like trying to go do this giant thing. And whether it's for God or for the world or for whatever. And it's like you never built anything once. Like you don't even know that this does work on the large scale because you don't even do it on the smallest scale. Right. So like I don't mean to be, not taking a stand on certain things. So how do we disagree? I try to have one-on-one conversations with people and get to know them. But I'm not called to be what other guys are called to be. And so I'm not trying to like, what do you say? Yuck their yum. If that's what they want to do, if that's what God's called them to do, then great. One of my favorite verses is like, who are you to judge another man's servant? Before his own master, he stands or falls and the Lord can make him stand. Great. So if someone has a ministry that their job is to go argue with people on Twitter about stuff that's happening in the world, like I don't find very many people's attitudes being changed in the comment section. I kind of have this thing right now, like I'm just trying to change the world one cup of coffee at a time.
Yeah.
I try to meet, I try to just invite people that are especially newer to church, like, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee this week. We finally got a Starbucks in our town, praise God. Although some people might, not like that stance because Starbucks, but they have an app. It's really convenient. I like it. I use it. I have my official, Starbucks Yosemite cup from Yosemite this year. And, but like I've had newer guys from the church that's like, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee or let's just sit down and talk, and we can talk. And I'm like, oh, we could probably find a few things we disagree on here. What do we agree on? What do we need to agree on if we're going to have like true, real fellowship? And then there's some people that I'm like, hey, cool. Well, to the degree that we can agree and intersect, that's great. I haven't had someone trying to like, come burn my house down because of the way I vote. So, but I also don't live in a certain place. Again, we live in a really small conservative town. It's really nice. I really like where we live. I don't know that I'm called to change the whole. I do know that I'm called to be the pastor of this church. I do know that much, and so my heart is to tend the flock that's here. We don't even we don't do live streaming. We upload a video after of our teaching and stuff, but I'm not trying to reach people in New York, to be honest with you. Like I don't you're there. Why don't you go minister to them? I don't know what the disagreements are where you are. So you can handle that over there. I'll be a Christian in my town. And to whatever, the Lord, whatever doors opens to me, I'll use. I remember working construction, and it was coming election season. And this is before before politics really became the main thing people talked about all the time, or everyone had a take, or everyone. Again, I liked when nobody knew who anyone voted for. That was a nice time, But we would talk. I remember at lunchtime we were talking about the issues, about again, for us in California, I think it was Prop 8 back in 2008 on the legalization of gay marriage. And I'm like, yeah, I'm voting no on it. And guys are like, what? I can't believe you vote no on it. I go, yeah, I'm going to. And well, I'm voting yes. I'd go, okay, why are you voting yes? And I remember one guy goes, they're free to be just as miserable as we all are in marriage. And I'm like, okay, like that's a joke. But I'm like, okay, why do you believe it? Like, what do you believe? And they're like, well, what do you believe? And so we started talking, and it's just like, we're all eating our lunch, talking about gay marriage and why I was going to vote no. And it's like, well, I believe this is what the Bible says marriage is. It's between a man and a woman. So that's what I think. I just agree with what the Bible says. And then we got up and went to work. Like, so, it's just totally different time. But also, we couldn't just yell and scream at each other because we still had a job to do later that day. So how do you agree? And then I think it was like this really weird concept that's like, okay, I guess we're just going to agree to disagree. Like, okay. And they said, like, I hope we get more votes than you. I go, cool. I hope I get more votes than you. Like, I still want to win.
Yeah.
But no matter what changes, like your value and our friendship or I didn't really have friends at work. I mean, we got along really well, but it wasn't going to change my life either. I'm like, I don't go hang out with you on the weekend. I don't. But I think there's husbands and wives that can't disagree on something. They don't know how to disagree on something. So I'm like, why don't you fix, again, the small part and then work your way out from there? That was the biggest non-answer. Maybe I am a politician somewhere in there. I don't know,
yes.
I don't mean to be. I'll be honest. I don't mean to be.
No, I think it is a good answer.
How do you disagree with people? What do you do?
Man, I don't know. I do disagree a lot. And I think one thing that impedes my ability to do that well or like in a sustained kind of way where I am able to maintain relationship with people is like I tend to have a concern for what they think of me. And so it's not that I would vote a different way on Prop 8 based on what somebody thinks about me, but it's that I wouldn't bring it up because I know this conversation's not going to end up with them thinking what a smart person I am or like that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be so vain, but just like I if you're not going to change your mind or even just listen to what my mind is on this subject, that makes it hard for me to want to engage. And I think that's reasonable to some extent, but I've been trying to grow on my end because that's like the most local that it can get, like the smallest level is like me. How am I participating in this disagreement? Like, am I able to bring up my genuine thoughts and feelings, and yet at the same time respect your thoughts, feelings, decisions based on how you interpret the situation. And yeah, I feel like it's good to hear from you from years past, 17 years ago, 2008 would be, that we are more divided today than we were then, meaning that there was a time not that long ago that we weren't that divided and we were able to talk about things because, depending on what algorithm rabbit holes you're in, the country is about to get divorced. And so that's not good. It's not good for the kids. And I think that's a dangerous place to be if you're on the side of like, well, good, then we'll be done with these people. It's like that is just not a good place to be in any type of relationship because it just doesn't work out that way. Like it's grass is greener until you get there and you're like, actually, this is the same yard. There was just a fence and now I'm on the other side. It's like, like nothing actually changed. I just thought it would.
Right.
And so I think what you're saying is super good because that's where your leverage is. And I think in a virtual world that right now, you and I, if people are listening to us, they'll be listening to us virtually. And many of the people listening will never meet you in person. But right. That means that you're not the most important thing in their life. And so if they disagree with your vote on Prop 8, like who cares? It really doesn't matter. It super doesn't matter.
And that's what I've kind of come to realize too, is like so many things don't matter because most people aren't going to change what they think about me the more they get to know me. Like, again, they might like me because they don't know all of me, but the more they get to know me, and I think that's another thing where I've tried to not be as like I'm a registered Republican. I have been since I registered to vote, like back when I was 18. Like at some point, those things that I believe sit in a certain place, but it doesn't mean I agree with every single thing the Republican Party does. But I definitely don't agree a lot with what happens on the Democratic side of the house, right? But what I loved is like being on a school board with somebody who was not a registered Republican. If I had to guess, and I'm almost positive he's registered Democrat, but it's like, cool. We can like both bring our talking points into the room and we can both whatever, like that's kind of a waste of time. What's our common ground? Do I want this guy to respect me? Yeah, sure I do. But if he doesn't, I don't live with him. Like, I think it's going to be okay. Now, again, where does that like make its way to eventually? I don't know. But I know that my heart is to see people get saved and come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, and then to abide in him and walk with him and then live their life. And I think the reality is too few people do that on both sides of the political spectrum, right? I think Jim Cymbala had done like a kind of study, and this book's pretty old now, but he was like, I think, I don't know what percentage of the nation is Christian, but he's like, of people who actually believe the Bible, believe that it is what it said, like they actually believe in all the tenets of salvation, and they believe in all the things that that a Bible believer would believe. Like it's closer to like 5, 6, 7% of the country. So it's not very much. So it's no wonder that it's hard for people to get on the same page, because we can't agree on kind of the most important thing. Right. And so just because you're on one side or the other side, like there's godlessness on both sides. And if we believe the Bible, that we reap what we sow, then the Bible's very clear that if you sow to the Spirit, you reap everlasting life. But if you sow to the flesh, you reap corruption. So when 95% of the country doesn't like want to be under the authority of the Lord Jesus Christ, well, this is kind of what you get.
95% corruption.
And you get people who can't even agree on ice cream.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. That it's like, man, why is it so bad here? Because I remember somebody used to say, like, man, if you want people to like you, just sell ice cream. Like, if you want people to like you, sell ice cream. I'm like, we are in a place in our world where that can't even be agreed upon anymore. Right? Because it's like, well, what is that? What is their politics over at that ice cream company? It's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe they would use milk on that. They should be using milk substitutes, and it should be almond milk ice cream or whatever. And then people go the other way. They're like, no, it should be unpasteurized milk. And you're just like, I guess we can't even agree on ice cream anymore.
That's a terrible place to be.
So, yeah, I can't agree with my fellow Dodger fans on Ohtani. I'm still not there,
Yeah, well, Daniel, thank you so much for your time. You don't have a book that you're promoting or anything, so I was just going to give you a chance to...
There is a book I'm reading. There's a book I'm reading. Can you see this on your screen? Can I tell everyone the book
100%.
I'm reading? Okay, so it's called Heralds of God by James S. Stewart. And... it's really speaking to the minister and how the minister ought to live his life. And so someone had once gave me a quote from this book. It was really good. I'll send it to you later, because I probably couldn't find it right now to try to read it to the group. But yeah, it's a really good book. I think it was first published like in the 40s, maybe the 50s. First printed in 1946, but it's a nice book. And I try to read it every few years. So that's the book I'm reading, as well as the Bible. I read the Bible every day. So
not to brag.
I recommend that one.
Well, this was great. Glad to catch up. And
yeah, man, it was a treat. Thank you so much, dude, for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to do it again in the future. And hopefully we're in the dog years of Ohtani's career and contract, and nobody has to worry about him.
And I will get to say I told you so. I live for that. I live for the I told you so
episode is coming soon.
It will be bad in years 7 through 10 at least. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Love you.